which is something that I don't know how much I have to make sure that I have to ask to get by all the way until the end of the month. So we're going to have to pay the bills, and then fill the gas cans up, and then what's left to move forward. We're getting close to when the refineries are going to shut down and begin to do their summer blend, which is more expensive. So I'm going to factor it in at $4 per gallon times 20. So that's 40. So it's going to be about 80 bucks. And then at the end of the month, if whatever I don't need of that, I'll send it to you. That's dangerous that's dangerous. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we're going to get parking first. That's going to come by 4018 West Rowan. It's actually on the Driscoll Street side. A 30-ish foot Class A motorhome, expired tags, and it's been there for days. If you guys could